The X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X-Zone Radio Show or endorsed in any manner by Rob McConnell, Relmar McConnell Media Company, the X-Zone Broadcast Network, its affiliated networks, stations, employees, or advertisers.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Welcome back to the X-Zone, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell, coming to you from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Worldwide toll-free, 1-800-610-7035. Email xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. On MSN Messenger, xzoneradiotv@hotmail.com. And our website, www.xzoneradiotv.com. Or if you'd like to visit our archive page, where the archives are always free, www.xzonepodcast.com. My guest this hour is a lady I've had the pleasure of having on the show. Well, I won't say how many years because that'll give away her age and she'll probably get mad at me, and we'll just skip that. But for a number of years, Acharya S is my guest this hour, and over the years I've talked to Acharya about many things, including her books, her website, her beliefs, and I asked Acharya to join me today to give us a better understanding, or try to get a better understanding about what is happening in the world today, especially when it comes to the movie that is apparently, or being blamed for, all the civil unrest in the Muslim, or the world of Islam, the world of Muslims. I don't know how they want to be identified these days, but there's civil unrest all over the world, and everyone is targeting this civil unrest towards the United States of America. Why? So joining me now is Acharya S. And Acharya, what was your impression about, I don't know if you saw it, but the trailer for Innocence of Muslims by Sam Basile?
Oh, my gosh. Well, it's quite a mess, isn't it?
It sure is.
50 countries now where rampaging in the streets and burning and all this charming violence in the name of the so-called religion of peace.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, this film, I only saw the trailer and I could barely watch that. I know there's like an hour and a half long version of it. But the whole thing is not what most people are seeing.
Mm-hmm.
They're not seeing the whole picture, okay? Because that film was sitting on the internet, when I first saw it, had like 700 views. Nobody was paying attention. It had been posted in July. It was so badly made, who cared? And obviously, some jihadis grabbed onto this stupid thing.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody rendered it into Arabic. They had already been playing it on like the 8th or whatever. They had already planned protests in at least Libya, probably Cairo as well, for the 11th. Now that the government is saying the same things that many of us were already saying, that those two events were clearly terrorist attacks that were planned.
Yes.
On the 11th, that is. And I'm not saying that the rest of these eruptions are terrorist attacks necessarily,
Mm-hmm.
except for, we can get into the ideology itself being terroristic. So, but they are certainly being egged on by these original instances, and the blaming of those on the film. Those were not to be blamed on the film initially. They used this film as just a boiling point
Mm-hmm.
to spark the rest of it. So the culpability lies with the jihadis and the Islamists, who themselves took the stupid film and turned it into, translated it into Arabic, and then started spreading it amongst their networks of clerics, imams, mullahs, ayatollahs, and all the rest of the infrastructure that's in place all around the world. They just seeded it like this is the Muslim internet, so to speak, where they go out into their Friday night sermons, and then they start rampaging in the streets. So
Yeah,
Acharya,
hold that thought. We've got to take a 2-minute commercial break. We'll be right back. Exo Nation, our special guest is the one and only Acharya S, and we'll be back on the other side of this commercial break as we continue talking about the innocence of Muslims. I don't know, I look at it, Acharya, as this was the excuse that they were looking for.
Yes,
or
yes,
if not,
absolutely.
they themselves fabricated. Many possibilities here. Acharya S is my guest. And we'll be back on the other side of this commercial break in 2 minutes as the X Zone continues from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away. Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X Zone radio show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X Zone broadcast network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember, 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365. Hi everyone, Rob McConnell here, and I wanted to spend a moment on internet streaming. Everybody has heard about internet streaming, but not many know much about it. Did you know the internet streams just about everything?
Movies.
From new releases to old classics.
TV shows.
Almost every show, every episode, and much more. But the question has always been, how do you do it? Well now, thanks to the folks at 123 Ready TV, I have the answer for you. They have developed a simple program app, 123 Ready TV, that you install on your Windows PC, Android smartphone, or Android tablet that can have you streaming like a pro in less than 5 minutes. You truly won't believe how much is available or how easy it is to do until you try. And for a one-time cost of only $19.99, this product is a real winner. To learn more about 123 Ready TV, visit our website at www.xzbn.net. And welcome back. Acharya S is my special guest this hour, X Zone Nation. What are you laughing at?
The way you said it was like walk like Acharya S. Seeing myself doing the Egyptian walk. And then Steve Martin came to mind, so we're getting old.
Oh, well, at least they don't know what we were talking about during the commercial break. All righty. Acharya S is my special guest. Acharya, what's your website?
Truthbeknown.com.
All righty. And we're talking about...
You'll like it.
Oh, yeah, it's a great website. And you know what I love about having Acharya on the show? She's honest. You know, she shoots from the hip, and it's always a pleasure having you on with us, my good friend. You and I were talking about the innocence of Muslims. First of all, I think it's the worst movie that has ever been made. And, you know, I think they could have done a better job with an old 16-millimeter movie camera than... I don't know what the movie cost in the first place. The acting sucked. Did you see where one of the actresses is actually going after the production company and Google?
Well, yes. I actually blocked her story. Okay, so you know it's been dubbed. You know it was dubbed.
Of course, yeah.
Okay, we need to make sure that the people. This is the other thing too. These violent rampagers with half a brain between them couldn't pause to find out whether or not these people were actually guilty of anything.
No, of course not.
No, they had to just rampage in the streets because some loudmouth imam has told them that this and that, rant. And death to America and death. It's always about death threats. We can't have our freedom of speech to complain about the death threats, however, because that's insulting them.
Do you know we had innocence of Muslims up on YouTube, and we were told to take it down.
Death threats?
No. The trailer, Innocence of Muslim.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, and we got a notice from YouTube saying that they received a complaint about the content from the YouTube community, and
of course, but didn't they keep the original one up?
Oh, you know what? So what we did was we just put it on our server for people to watch.
That's ridiculous.
But you know
let me tell you what's going on with this thing.
All right,
so,
please.
So these poor people, and I think this woman is maybe some sincere Christian. I think that like a lot of the cast were Christians who were taught that they were being told that the Lord had a project for them or something, and so they were going to do this Arab desert warrior movie, and the original character's name is George.
Yeah.
Okay, not Muhammad. And so they were all tricked into this. Now, that's not the part where clearly there are Muslims rampaging in the streets in certain aspects of this movie, but those are not the people that I'm talking about. They obviously knew who they were portraying.
Yes.
But the American actors and actresses, the one who's suing because now she's in debt, she's had death threats and threatened to cut her to pieces. It's so peaceful, isn't it?
It sure is.
And so anyway, she had nothing to do with any film that said anything about Islam or Muhammad. They didn't even know that they were involved in this. So here is what my take is on what happened. Now, this film was made apparently by a Coptic man and some other individuals who are Coptic. Now, the Christians from Egypt. Their sect dates back to almost 2,000 years ago. They were the original Egyptians. I don't know how much of their genetics are retained at this point, but they were the original Egyptians who lived in their nation and their lands. Now, Christianity obviously slaughtered and imposed itself first. That was the first destruction of the Egyptians. Actually, Jews before that, in the pre-Christian times. 50% of Alexandria was Jewish. So, but then we had, anyway, for the last 2,000 years, they've been Christians, but they were invaded by Arabs and Islam. And so these are essentially the natives. And it would be like, I made the comparison, it would be like Native Americans making a film critical of Jesus for inspiring the invasion of the Americas and slaughter of tens of millions of Native Americans. That's what this film represents, really. The guy who made this film was a Christian Copt who's complaining about the ongoing genocide of his people in his country based on the Islamic religion that had been brought into the country. And he is being inspired, this guy, I think his name is Nakula, he is being inspired by a Coptic priest named Father Zacharias Boutros, who is also Egyptian, whose native language is Arabic, or one of his languages, I'm not sure if he had a Copt, obviously he speaks Coptic as well, but he speaks fluent Arabic, and he has been studying the Hadiths in particular, obviously the Quran. He's read the entire Quran probably hundreds of times in Arabic, but he's been studying the Hadiths, which are these descriptions of Muhammad's life, and some of them are considered to be authentic. Those are called Sahih Hadiths. They're considered by the Sunnis in particular to be authentic hadiths. And this guy has picked out a whole bunch of hadiths, both authentic and not accepted as authentic, and showed some really, there's a lot of them are obscure. Nobody wants to brace them up. They have to deal with necrophilia and all these horrible things. And somebody has taken these hadiths, this Coptic film producer, and he has incorporated them into this film. But he did it in a way so that it seemed to be the story of some thug from 2,000 years ago named George. Obviously, there was no Georges back then either. But so that's what's going on here with this film. And then he dubbed the story with the references to Muhammad and with the actual discussions of the hadiths and so forth, and the words Islam and whatnot. But the inspiration for this film, this Father Boutros, has something like tens of millions of followers worldwide in Arabic on his radio shows. He's been chased out of Egypt. I think he was in Canada for a while. I'm not sure his entire background. The last time they heard, of course, they had to expose this in the national media that he was in Huntington Beach, California, which is approximately where this film was. It was made in like the L.A. area, Southern California. And so that's where he drew some of those actors from. And then all that stuff that was done with the green screen background, blue screen, whatever.
Yep. That was
done in his home. I mean, this was really low key because I'm sure he's terrified of the repercussions of exactly what would have happened, what did happen, because somebody chose to take this film and make of it a flashpoint.
All right, let me ask you this. Ask you this. Mm-hmm. Is it like when we look at the 50 countries that are now experiencing civil unrest because of this film. If this film is the catalyst for this unrest, then targeting the U.S., is one thing, but they started targeting other embassies and consulates that had nothing to do with the film.
Yeah, right now they're rampaging in China.
Hello?
But even so, it's not all of America. Look, every time we say something about Islam or violent Muslims or radical Muslims, we get these lectures, these kindergarten lectures about, well, you can't say that about all Muslims, and all these generalizations that I'm so tired of. They're an insult to my intelligence. Yes, we're not saying it all about all Muslims. We never are, never have been, never will. But we're talking about an ideology that is glommed onto and utilized to commit violent acts all over the world. And that ideology is clearly spelled out. It is clearly followed. It is clearly
all you have to do is look throughout history. The proof is there. Yes,
exactly. And so just as we are not supposed to be generalizing all Muslims and saying, death to the Muslim world, which would be ludicrous.
Yes.
So should not Muslims be rampaging in the streets shouting death to America, because an Egyptian Coptic Christian man who speaks speaks English with an accent, who happens to live in the safety of America, made a film. It does not mean all Americans are involved, all Americans are this or that. The double standard is sickening.
Yes, but don't forget my good friend. Don't forget my good friend. The squeaky wheel gets the oil. Now, can you just imagine if the creators of South Park, who used Jesus in one of their cartoons, used Muhammad?
No.
I for one am really tired of all this political correctness.
Oh, it's sickening.
I've said this many times on the show. Hey, where the plane lands, it also takes off from. It comes to a point where whether you're right, you're wrong, you're damned. Your beliefs, your freedoms are being chewed away. Can you just imagine what will happen, and I'm saying what will happen, when the civil unrest that we're watching in these other 50 countries now start happening in the United States and Canada?
Yep. Oh, it's coming.
It is.
Because this is what this particular group of fanatics does and has done all over the world for the past 1,400 years. We saw the same thing with, the Inquisition and Christianity. Yes, other religions have done this as well, especially the Abrahamic religions, constantly slaughtering their enemies, constantly, degrading and trying to enslave and dominate. That's what this intolerance does. And so now we're seeing it again. This is the new Inquisition. They're trying to shut down our free speech rights all over the place. And they're using this stupid film to do that. But at the same time, they have the rights to spew hatred at us, to spew death threats, to menace us, to tell us that we're not allowed to say this, we're not allowed to say that. So they will have as much free speech as they want, and we will be oppressed. That's basically what's going to happen there. Because the free speech that they want is, kill the unbelievers, enslave the women. That's the free. The Quran has numerous, 61% of the Quran is hate speech against the non-believers. But that free speech is allowed.
Yeah.
And yet if we object to that free speech, if we point out these hadiths and these Quranic verses in a film that is really stupid and should not be provoking people to violence, if anybody points out these things, then they should be killed.
Well, of course, and it comes to a point where when you start expressing yourself, you're accused of spreading hatred. And yet, the shoe doesn't fit on the other foot for some reason. And like I said, I'm really tired of all this political correctness. Where the plane lands, it takes off. Acharya, stand by, my good friend. You and I have to take a news break at the bottom of the hour. X-Zone Nation, if you'd like to find out more about my good friend Acharya S, www.truthbeknown.com. My name is Rob McConnell. This is the X-Zone. And by the way, I still say Merry Christmas.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember, 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365. Hi everyone, Rob McConnell here, and I wanted to spend a moment on internet streaming. Everybody has heard about internet streaming, but not many know much about it. Did you know the internet streams just about everything?
Movies.
From new releases to old classics.
TV shows.
Almost every show, every episode, and much more. But the question has always been, how do you do it? Well now, thanks to the folks at 123 Ready TV, I have the answer for you. They have developed a simple program app, 123 Ready TV, that you install on your Windows PC, Android smartphone, or Android tablet that can have you streaming like a pro in less than 5 minutes. You truly won't believe how much is available or how easy it is to do until you try. And for a one-time cost of only $19.99, this product is a real winner. To learn more about 123 Ready TV, visit our website at www.xzbn.net. And welcome back, everyone. This is the X-Zone. My name is Rob McConnell, coming to you from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. My special guest this hour is the one, the only, the sensational Acharya S. Her website is www.truthbeknown.com. You know, Acharya, I was brought up in the melting pot of Montreal called Park Extension. And I grew up in a school that was a melting pot of cultures. And what we did was we had the best of every world. We learned cultures. We learned traditions. We learned about the different beliefs. We shared holidays. We were the best of friends. And I don't remember any of this so-called political correctness or hatred way back then. When did it all go wrong?
Oh, boy. Well, you know, I mean, we were on the subject of Islam, and
yeah.
Certainly, you know, when was the last time you really heard many complaints, at least not in this country, about Hindus or Sikhs in 7-Elevens, because that's how I used to run across them a lot in 7-Elevens. I used to sit and chat with them. You never hear anything. Nobody complains about Indians. Nobody's complaining about Buddhists.
Or the Asian influx, or the Koreans, or the Vietnamese.
Yeah. The Buddhists, essentially. Nobody's complaining about them. It's the Abrahamic cults that are constantly being complained
now,
about.
I would just like to say something at this point, Acharya, that we are not fitting everyone into the same category here. There's good and bad in every religion, every religious philosophy. And don't forget, a philosophy is a belief.
Not a person.
Exactly.
It's an ideology.
Right.
Not a person. We're not attacking individuals.
No, we're not. No, we're not.
Never have been. I'm talking about the motivation, the actual ideology that motivates people.
We're talking about the bad guys. We're talking about the Hell's Angels of the Caucasians.
Well, yeah, I suppose.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's the Christian, the KKK. They always bring that up. But that's a fairly small percentage.
But you don't hear about them anymore either.
No, the only valid comparison is when the U.S. military has, Bible quotes in the sights for their rifles. So that was disgraceful, and they supposedly removed.
Right.
This whole onward Christian soldier thing. Now, this is clearly still being used in the U.S. military, so that's a valid comparison there. However, we're not rampaging in the streets over films or cartoons or our radio show or anything else. We don't anything. I've been attacked and insulted continually since the mid-'90s, since I hung my shingle online. And I'm not out rampaging in the streets, making threats against people's families and all the other crap, even though I've had pretty much every insult imaginable tossed my way. So this crybaby baloney is really getting tiresome. You're insulting us. Guess what? That film that's supposedly insulting, it's representing the Quran and the Hadiths. So if you're going to ban insults to Islam, you're going to have to get rid of the Quran and the Hadiths, because then you're saying we're not even allowed to. Of course, they actually do say the filthy infidel is not supposed to touch the Quran or even look inside it or anything. And so this is, we're being bullied. We're being bullied, and we won't have it. I have never sat back for a bully. I was known in my school, in grade school, to stand up to bullies. And other people wouldn't. They'd cower in, fear, or these other children. And I don't blame them as children, but I do blame them as adults now. You got to stop being cowardly against bullies. I remember a big lesson. I was bitten one time badly by a dog as I was coming from a Cub Scouts a meeting. I mean, a Brownie Scout. That was not a Cub Scout. Obviously, a Brownie meeting, which is the little Girl Scouts. Yeah. And we were just, the last word was, go out and help your neighbors. Yeah. And so here I am, like 8 years old. I'm walking home from this Girl Scout meeting, and a neighbor comes running out and says, help, help. I'm not kidding you. And so she says, well, I lost my dog. So I'm like, okay, I'll help this woman find a dog. Same with this little kid, and I'm standing there, and I got my winter coat on and my mittens. And this damn Irish setter comes running up. Excuse me, you have to bleep that. This Irish setter comes running up, and it's a head taller than me, and it starts biting me all over. And that was my reward for helping the neighbor. So I had bites all over my hands. I had stitches. My arms were bitten up. And so, I didn't go rampaging the streets and kill all the dogs. That was the first thing I didn't do. But the next time a dog came after me, a neighborhood kid, another neighbor, another neighborhood, told me to pick up a stick, and you said, don't run away from that dog. Pick up a stick and shake it at the dog and yell at the dog. And I did, and that was it. And I've never looked back. If a barking bully comes after me, I'll turn around and pick up a big stick. And so now the big stick that I've been wielding lately is religion itself, because that's the only one some of these people will understand. A lot of these efforts to impose religious fanaticism on us by shutting us down from complaining about having religious fanaticism imposed on us, we're not allowed to even complain about that. By having this mentality occupying our time constantly, we can't relax, we can't rest. We're being menaced constantly by this bullying. And so I'm fighting back and saying that my right to criticize your bullying is part of my religion. Do you understand? So if you're going to say no insulting or criticizing religion, then you're going to get that, like you said, the plane takes off and lands at the same place. Right, you're going to get caught in that trap, because I'm going to bring charges or whatever it takes against you for insulting my religion. My religion gives me the right to say it's not cool to marry little girls. And if that's an insult to your religion, then your religion is an insult to me. And so back and forth, but I'm not giving up. And also, the other thing is that there's this mistaken impression that secularism, essentially you and I are secularists, even though we enjoy religion. We don't hate it. We don't want it to be banned. But this is why we get along, why we like each other, we
respect people, and we respect their religions. We respect their beliefs. But in the same way of thinking, don't force me to do something or believe in something that I don't want to.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
You know,
and see, that's not a void. People think that secularism is a void. Oh, it's missing something. No, it's not. It's got its own set of defined limitations, and I don't want to call them beliefs, because beliefs are paper boats. They're flimsy. You can't live. Beliefs they have doubts attached to them. These are principles. These are morals. We don't kill other human beings over a film. Shame, shame, shame on you. And if it takes someone like me, I'm the anti-bully. I'm the mother voice. I'm telling you, children, stop. You are not allowed to behave like this. And if you have an ideology that's teaching you to behave like this, it will be criticized. Period. Get used to it. Grow up. Get out of the terrible twos. Mm-hmm. That's what we got going on here. We got bad parenting. They never got out of the terrible twos. They think the answer to everything is to pick up something and break something. That's the terrible twos.
I heard something the other day that really sent me for a loop, was that in prison, the number one religion of conversion to is Islam.
Of course. Because it allows you to beat your wife up. Those guys who are in jail now for beating their wives up are going, hey, I can get out of here now and go beat her up again. If that's an insult, then you better look at your own texts. I believe that's Quranic verse 434. You're allowed to beat your wife.
It's crazy.
Oh, but they have all these little details about how, it shouldn't be with a big stick, it should be a little stick. Beat them where it doesn't show. Then there's the marrying of children. Okay? Not allowed in my religion. Mm-hmm. So if you're doing it, you're blaspheming my religion. Not allowed. Okay, so come and blaspheme my religion, and we'll get into this little tit for tat, stick waving.
What do you
think? I'm going to tell you, in the long run, my perspective of reality is more moral than yours, and you are not going to succeed in dominating or bullying me into yours.
All right, so what do you think? What do you think is going to be the final outcome? It's going to come to a head. How do you foresee it happening?
Well, it's very bad. It's very bad. Fortunately, I think that all this stuff is coming up now before we in Canada and the U.S. have too many, let's say, of these radicals. Oh, I think that's amusing too, right? We're being told, there's no radicals in America or Canada or the Western lands. Well, we know that's not true in Europe because they're all over the streets and beating people and whatnot and holding signs up and saying behead those who insult Islam and whatnot. But we're told that there's no problem here. Well, first of all, there are many organizations that are extremely radical in this country who are forcing their agenda. They're organized. They have money, tons and tons of oil money. Okay, this is the result of us being oil addicts, foolishly, and so they are already a bunch of those organizations here. Secondly, these same organizations, these imams who are running these things, these clerics, whatever, they're admitting that there's a bunch of radical Muslims in these countries because they're saying, hey, if you don't rein in your free speech, there will be violence in your countries too. Hello, that's not even a veiled threat. Yeah. That's business as usual. If you don't quiet down, if you don't accept our way, we will commit violence against you. That's business as usual. That's not a warning or anything, or like some guy who's really concerned about us. He's telling us that's what's going to happen, and he's going to be one of the people provoking that. So we either be quiet about the abuses that we're enduring, or there are going to be more abuses. This is like a woman, domestic violence situation. She's not allowed to tell anybody that she's being abused because otherwise the husband will come and abuse her more.
Right, yeah.
This is exactly what they've been doing for hundreds of years all over the world. All we need to do is ask the Indians what they've had, the problems they've had for the last over 1,000 years. How about the Persians? I got good friends who are Iranians. They detest what's happened to their country. They want it free. They want their democracy back or whatever. It was more of a constitutional democracy than what they got now. They want what they want. They had a constitution similar to ours.
Right.
Okay, so don't, I mean the U.S., but Canada's not that different except, the hate laws, speech laws, whatever. But coming soon everywhere, right? But see, there again, that censorship attempt is against our First Amendment. It is not only treasonous, that is treason. You could be, in my book, you could be charged for treason if you're saying, hey, let's get rid of the First Amendment.
Exactly.
And impose, that's treason. And number two, in my religion, that's blasphemy. To shut down my free speech rules. My religion is that of Thomas Jefferson.
Let me just say something quickly here, because we're going to be going to a break in about 2.5 minutes. In Toronto, the powers to be gave a permit to a group of Muslims who were celebrating one of their holidays, and they did a protest at Queen's Park, which is the provincial parliament head in Toronto.
The dog.
Exactly. Exactly. A gentleman comes with his dog, and he is of Jewish faith, and the dog is wearing a scarf that resembles the Israeli flag.
I didn't know that part.
Oh, yeah. So what happened was a number of the people who were at the gathering, told the man that, being there with his dog was offending their women or something to that effect. So the guy didn't move. The police came over, and they arrested the guy with the dog.
I know. It's unbelievable. I know. Toronto is lost. You've got some good people there. That Muslim activist there, what is his name now? Not Tariq. Tuffy, Tariq. Anyway, you've got some good people that are battling it, but he was threatened too. He was in the hospital but Toronto is a mess. What about the schools? You got prayer rooms in the schools now, or in the cafeteria is being used by Muslims to pray during school.
And yet you can't have a Bible in the school.
No, the schools must be kept secular. This is a tactic. This is a jihadi tactic to get into your schools and force their presence everywhere so that you're reminded constantly. They're actually taking children to mosques and indoctrinating them without them knowing it. They're showing them how to pray. This is happening in our country with the only 1 or 2% of Muslim population in this country. It's already happening. These are old tactics they've been using. This isn't like some innocent thing that's just happening.
This is what's been happening over the centuries. Yeah. Hey, listen, old friend, you and I have to take our commercial break, our final break for this hour. X-Zone Nation, always great having Acharya with us.
Yeah.
Her website is www.truthbeknown.com, and Acharya S and I will be back on the other side of this break as the X-Zone continues from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Yeah, I love Christmas. I love Easter. I love St. Patrick's Day. Oh, I really love St. Patrick's Day. Valentine's Day. St. Valentine's Day. Ooh.
That's not allowed.
Well, it is on this show. Because people dare to believe and dare to be heard. We'll be back. Don't go away.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Acharya S is our special guest, www.truthbeknown.com. And then, Acharya, to add gasoline to the inferno, you've got the idiotic Ministry of Railroads in Pakistan who's offering $100,000 of his own money to anyone who could kill, assassinate, decapitate, put an end to this guy, Sam Basili.
Okay, great. So first of all, the U.S. has given something like $23 billion to Pakistan over the past decade.
Yep.
Okay. And yet they're over there ranting death to America. Now, mind you, I'm reminded by a number of people who are saying, look, this is just a small percentage of the people there. However, Pakistan is more radicalized than almost any other place on earth. So I don't know what the percentage is, but they're significant. And in any event, if we die, you die, because then you won't be getting billions of dollars in aid from us, okay? Mm-hmm. And what industry do they have that they're not making money off of us eventually down the line? The other thing is that how does it not insult your religion to be running around making death threats and talking about violence and bloodshed and murder and genocide and so forth constantly?
Yeah.
We're sick of it. Stop menacing us with this trash. And they have the nerve to say that our free speech is a terrorist. No, I'm sorry. Our free speech is not what's killing people. The people who are picking up the weapons and beating and raping and everything else, those are the ones who are doing it.
You know what? I came up with a great idea. We should have Jeff Dunham be the ambassador to the Middle East, and he should bring his puppet Ahmed, the terrorist, with him.
I kill you. I kill you. I kill you.
Yeah.
That's what it all boils down to.
I know.
Constant threats of death. I'm so sick of it. And they don't get arrested for free speech violations. In civilized countries, death threats are against the law. You should all be arrested by our standards. And guess what? Our standards are better than yours because we're not running around killing people. And killing people is not a virtue. And making a film is not worse than killing a person. Okay?
And you know what? You know what? With all the people that were burning the American flag, that were storming the consulates, you didn't see or hear of one act of violence towards any of their consulates or the burning of their flags or the burning of their religious books. Not one.
Yeah, or any other threats and all these threats against us. We're sick of living with terrorist threats. Supposedly, according to the LAPD, there's like thousands of terrorist threats against that city at any given time.
Wow.
Okay, now I can understand. There's all these blowback, Afghanistan. Well, ostensibly, the U.S. government sent troops into Afghanistan to contain the Taliban terrorists and Al-Qaeda terrorists there, rather than taking them on in our territory, which is what's happening now. They're trying to get in through Mexico, and they are. They're trying to get in through Canada, and they are. And there are like 35 U.S. government identified compounds of potential radicals all over this country, and apparently they're pouring in through the borders all the time.
Acharya, I hate to do this, my friend. You and I have to say so long for now. You're going to be back with us in 2 weeks. Take care of yourself and do the world a favor.
All right.
Never change. Exonation, my guest this hour, Acharya S. www.truthbeknown.com. I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break with the news at 6.5 minutes past the hour as the X-Zone continues with yours truly, Rob McConnell, from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away.